Hey peeps. So I've had this Euphorbia Trigona for almost a year to the day now. Maybe it's a little bit over a year, but anyway, it's a year since I've had this plant. And I've not done an update on it as of yet, since I made the original video. So I thought, you know what? I've got some time, let's share an update. And as you can see, if you've seen the older video, which I'll link below if you haven't, it has really come a long way. It looks like a completely different plant. What a bounce back. I am so happy with this one. So when I originally got it, it was in quite a sorry state. I got it in a plant trade. So I traded my giant Pilea peperomioides for this because honestly, as pretty as the Pilea was, it grows too fast and it reproduces in insane numbers. It was just far too much for me to keep up with. So I traded it in for these two Euphorbia Trigonas. They came in this, well, it was a decorative pot. It didn't have any drainage holes in. The soil looked like it was completely spent. It was a mix of those lacquer clay balls and some potting soil, and the root system was just, yeah, it didn't really have much in ways of roots. So this is the progress it's made, and it's still in the pot that I repotted it in a year ago, and it's absolutely thrived. Now, I didn't really know too much about this plant, but I did know it's kind of like it's something in between a cactus and a succulent. It has these little spikes along these spines here, but what makes it a succulent is the leaves, and no cactuses have leaves. So that's what makes this plant kind of a oddball, but I love it, and so do many others by the sounds of it. So the difference is what I've learned for the care, because I didn't really know all too much about the plant when I got it. So I just treated it like all of my other succulents, which seems to have really served it well, you know. It's been sat in my main plant area where I usually film my videos. It's been getting lots of bright indirect sunlight. I've been watering it once a week. And that's one thing that I have noticed. Unlike a cactus, this plant is actually very, very thirsty. So if you don't water it, it really starts to suffer. The leaves start to drop. It starts to look very pitiful for itself. So yeah, once you notice that the soil is dry, just give it some water, roughly about once a week, maybe every 10 days, something like that, depending on your environment. But the general rule of thumb is just water when the pot is dry. And that's what I've been doing. And this is the results it's yielded for me. So I don't think I'm really going far wrong there. Anyway, another part of this video was not just to show it off, but to actually propagate it, because I've noticed here, as gorgeous as it looks at the size it is, the top growth is significantly chunkier and way more significant than some of the older, clearly more light deprived parts of the plant. And I foresee this, especially here, you see the size of this branch here, I foresee this becoming so top heavy that either it's just going to keep falling over or it's going to break. Either way, it's not going to end well. So I'm going to take some propagations today, and this is going to be an exciting one because, again, I've never propagated it, but I've read up on how to do it. So we're going to go through that together today and see what we can do with this guy. So I was thinking of just maybe removing it here from the thinner section, kind of leveling it out so it's all more of a little bit more of an even height, and then it can kind of just fill out with the side branches and grow more horizontally with the side branches than vertically and just get tall and top heavy and topple over and break. So that will also be a problem if it breaks, because as you'll see when I cut it, I'm sorry about the wind guys, I can't really film inside at the moment because my baby's sleeping, so I don't want to wake him up. So hopefully the wind isn't too bad. Anyway, as I was saying, the problem is when it breaks or when you cut it, is like any Euphorbia family, it has this toxic white sap in. So if you snap off a leaf, if you nick it a little bit, if you do a full-on cut, no matter what you do, it's going to bleed this white sap. So either you wear gloves and also eye protection, because you know things can squirt and you don't want this going in your eyes, and you just be very careful, or you wash your hands if it gets on any area of your skin pretty much immediately, because you don't want the irritation from that stuff. It's not pleasant. So if we can avoid these things, we shall avoid these things. I'll show you the sap, you'll see plenty of examples, and I'll show you what I've read on how to minimise the mess when you are taking cuttings. So I'm going to go get my equipment and we're going to start making some cuts. Okay, so this is going to be very simple. I've got a bucket of water here, and you'll see what that's for in a second, and my trusty secateurs. So all I'm going to do is take a cut. I'm going to probably cut it from here because this is the thinnest part of the stem, and I'm probably going to cut this one around the same length here. So see if I can do this one-handed. No. But I have made a cut, and you can see even just the slightest nick. Do you see that white stuff there? That's the sap that I was telling you about. That's the stuff you really don't want to get in your skin or on your eyes or whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead and make these cuts, and I'll show you what I've done in a second. Okay, so I've made 3 cuts, and you can immediately notice the white sap that's just completely bleeding down the plants here. And what I've done here with the 3 pieces that I've cut, I've put that into the water, and you just leave them in there for a few minutes, and what that does is that just helps stop the bleeding. So I'm going to give it a few minutes, and then we'll come back, clean all this up, and I'm going to be setting these guys aside for a few days, maybe a week, to let the wounds callus over, and then we'll pick up there and repot these guys. So I'll see you guys in a week, but through the magic of YouTube editing, it will be in just a second, so we'll catch up then. I almost forgot to say that I was going to show you that after a few minutes in the water, you can see that all the sap has basically just been washed off in the water, and there's no more bleeding. So this has literally just been about 5 minutes. So I'm just going to take those out, set them aside, and let them callus over. But in comparison, you can see here that there's still milk, it's still wet, it's still bleeding. So that's a really handy trick for if you're propagating these guys. So it's the next day, and things are looking good. And after I finished filming yesterday, I went ahead and put some cinnamon on the end of these cuts, and I also made an extra cut here, because now I've got 4 instead of the 3 that I cut on video yesterday. And I had a look over here on the mother plant, and as you can see, everything's calloused over quite nicely. So I think in combination with the cinnamon and the callus that's already formed, I think it should be okay for me to pot them up and As long as I keep them dry for about a week or so, it should be okay. It shouldn't really rot them. So I've got some pots prepared over here, and I've got some wooden stakes and my gardening wire. So we're going to pot these up, and seeing as they only have 3 pots, I think I'm going to double up a couple and maybe keep one for myself. We'll see how I feel when I've planted them in. So let's get started. Okay, so what I've got in the pot is a mixture of sand and some ceramis and cocoa coir and some standard cactus and succulent potting mix. So this should be nice and fast draining. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just make a little well in the middle. I'm going to put this piece in like this and just backfill it. And here they are, all potted up. So I had a little bit of a change of plan with this pot here and decided to put 3 in because I think that's going to kind of look cool together. Plus I don't really have that much space for much extra pots at the moment, so I just decided to bundle these 3 guys up together, and I'm going to find a new home for them. Maybe I sell them, maybe I gift them, we'll see. But I'm going to wait for them to at least root up before I do. And over here, I think this one I'm actually going to keep because I like how it looks. And the big one that I have, I got as an already quite large 2 pieces of this plant. So I didn't really have much control over the shape of it. So I thought I'm going to start a smaller one and see if I can get a funkier result. And as for the big one, I just trimmed it back a little bit more. In fact, I'll show you, hang on. There you go, that's better, all 3 of them together. So as I was saying, the mother plant you can see is already quite a bit shorter from where I left off yesterday, and I decided to take some of the big branches down a little bit because they were really quite thin in comparison to the rest of the stalk, and there was some damage to them. So I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to stagger the main stems, let these secondary side branches grow, and these side branches that I took down here will hopefully branch out a little bit more from the bottom, and I'm hoping in theory that I get a bit more of a bushier plant which kind of hides the unevenness of the main stems, which are really quite uneven because you can see it starts quite thin and then it gets a bit fatter and then it gets thin again, and it's just basically from how it was looked after before I got it. It didn't get quite enough light as what it needed, or the care, or much else that it needed other than just to exist and be alive. So I'm trying to fill this one out a little bit so he looks a little bit bushier, and I hope I haven't completely screwed him up, but yeah, we'll find out. And again, another shot of the 2 smaller pots, which I'm very happy with. So I'm excited to see the results of these because it's the first time I've propagated, but yeah, it's a very easy and demanding plant. You can't really ask for anything better, and I love how it looks. It's very structural, it brings some interest to the room. So if you're into the whole decorating with houseplants, it's definitely one up there next to, I would say, the Sansevieria, or what's it, Dracaena now, or whatever. We all know it as Sansevieria, you guys know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. And of course I'll keep you updated on how the cuttings do, depending on how long I keep the one with 3 in, we'll see. But at the very least I'll be able to update you on this guy here, but yeah. And of course the progress on the mother one. So yeah, on that point I'm going to stop waffling because yeah, most people don't really make it all the way through the videos according to analytics. So if you have made it this far, I salute you for enduring the waffling. So you guys are awesome. And on that note, I will wrap the video up. So thanks for watching. As always, it's much appreciated. Much love, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.